You're listening to MuniCast, the podcast that discusses municipal leadership. Season 4 of MuniCast is brought to you by SaskTel's Innovation and Collaboration team. SaskTel can help you sort through the noise to create solutions that add value quickly, whether it's reducing your environmental footprint, driving investment, community development, or just saving money. Contact your SaskTel account manager to find out more. MuniCast is hosted by SUMA, the voice of Saskatchewan's hometowns. I'm Stephanie, SUMA's Education and Events Coordinator, and in Season 4 of MuniCast, we are tuning in to the 2023 SUMA Convention and Tradeshow and speaking to some of the key participants. On this episode, I'm joined by Andrew McDonald, Director of Marketing and Communications at Wanuskewin Heritage Park. This year, SUMA is introducing optional excursions for attendees to the 2023 SUMA Convention and Tradeshow, and registered participants will have the opportunity to explore Wanuskewin Heritage Park. There are limited spots available, so register soon to secure your seat. The story of Wanuskewin is just beginning to be uncovered. Some archaeological dig sites date back thousands of years, and these sites provide clues to the daily existence of the early peoples. While some sites teach us about life thousands of years ago, other sites, like the ancient medicine wheel, remain shrouded in mystery. Andrew is passionate about excellence and strives to promote the excellence found within Wanuskewin Heritage Park. He currently serves as the Director of Marketing and Communications. So welcome, Andrew. Thank you very much for joining me today for this conversation.
Thank you, Stephanie, for having me. I appreciate this.
And as part of the 2023 SUMA Convention, we are offering the option for some of our delegates to visit Wanuskewin Heritage Park to learn about the history of the area and watch a traditional dance presentation. We are really looking forward to this opportunity. So can you start us off by sharing the meaning of the word Wanuskewin and some of the history of the park?
Sure. Well, the literal translation from what I've been told that Wanuskewin is a very old Cree language name, and the direct translation from that is means seeking peace of mind, or kind of like a refuge. Interesting part about that is that this really is a place where people, no matter what country they're from, no matter their age, no matter what their background is. Everyone seems to report that when they come to the park, is that there really is this calming sense to it. There's this really kind of relaxed emotion that they feel when they're here. And it's really hard to describe. There's this intangible feeling that people have when they come to the park. And I definitely think that has to do with those centuries and centuries of occupation of this valley, that feeling of spirit, and really the calming nature of the valley here.
Absolutely. It is such a beautiful area. A few of our staff had the opportunity to stop by and check it out a few months ago, and we were really taken aback by how beautiful both outdoors and indoors are.
We just went through a major renovation that wrapped up in 2020. So timing was never our strong suit. And so we've been working pretty straight through for about 4 years leading up to this 2020 unveiling. And so right at Christmas of 2020, all the construction was done. We were ready to open the doors and welcome everyone in. It was right in the middle of the pandemic. So the good thing was, though, is that people could still certainly come to the park and go outside. We have about 7 kilometers of hiking trail just behind the building here. And so even in the wintertime, folks want to come out as part of their admission. They can rent snowshoes, take in the trails. You can certainly go out and see the bison. There's a beautiful playground out here as well. So there's lots to do outside year round, almost as much as there is to do inside as well.
That's great. And kind of as you mentioned there, Wanuskewin really got going and started being ready to open again for the public after those renovations in 2020, but the park did first open in 1992, and it has been gaining a lot of attention in these last few years, including some large donations for the expansion of the park. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's been going on within the park that started drawing some of this major attention to it?
Well, I think what is really important here to note for listeners today is that this park was really born out of the community. So in 1987, Queen Elizabeth II came out here and dedicated this as a National Historic Site. So citing that this is a place where every single nation from the Northern Plains has gathered here at one time or another over the last 6,400 years. Like, incredible and mind-boggling to think about how old that is. And just to give some context, I mean, the Egyptian pyramids, this would be about twice as old as the Egyptian pyramids. So here at the site, we have every single archaeological feature that you would expect to find on the plains, meaning bison jumps and teepee rings, and there's even a medicine wheel out here, which is incredible how all of this is in such close proximity to one another. So within walking distance, all of those features that I've mentioned are available. What happened, though, in the summer of 2020 that was really remarkable, and where we got this kind of global attention, was that one of our park founders, Dr. Ernie Walker, as well as our bison manager, Craig Toms, they're out in the bison paddock out here, and they noticed this little strip of rock protruding from the dirt. And this is something that had been exposed by the bison, eating the vegetation, wallowing, walking around that area. The bison had only been here for about 6 months at that time, so they really are, affecting their environment, creating crevices and eating vegetation, and even their hooves are acting like rototillers and churning up the dirt. So because of all that activity, this little strip of rock is exposed, and along the top of it was these like scratches. That's the best way to describe it, right into the rock. And so our bison manager said, oh, this is probably like a farming implement that's scratched the top of a rock. But our Dr. Ernie Walker had said, no, I think this is something different. I think that it's too imperfect. It's got to be man-made. And so that little strip of rock, again, probably about like 2 inches by 4 inches, they start to dig around a little bit more and find out that this is actually about a 3 foot by 3 foot boulder that's been buried underneath the ground. Keep in mind that archaeological digs at Wanuskewin have happened for over 40 years at that point, and the discovery of a petroglyph has never happened here. And that's exactly what this was. This is a petroglyph that is made with a bison ribstone carved into this. And so the best way that I can describe a bison ribstone like this is that it's almost like looking at a bird's eye view of a bison skeleton. So you have the vertebrae down the middle and then the ribs out the side. So again, from what I've been told from Dr. Walker, is that to find a petroglyph like this on the plains, of course, we don't have rock faces to carve into or anything like that. It's very flat. So boulders like this are where artwork like this would be found. These are spiritual pieces. So petroglyphs generally on the plains from here down to Texas are very rare, a couple hundred. A bison ribstone like this, about 100 or less, so even more rare. But what made this discovery incredibly rare is the fact that a tool that was used to make this was found laying right next to that stone. So how do we know that this is the tool that was used to make this? Well, under a microscope, the cutting edge of that stone tool that fits perfectly in your hand, that cutting edge matches perfectly with the grooves that are on that bison ribstone, and almost like a hand in glove. So again, from what Dr. Walker had described, he had said that you never find the tool that was actually used to make an item like this. That never happens. So not only was that discovery amazing and incredibly rare, but it really was the bison that found these petroglyphs. That first petroglyph was found, and then in a couple days later, another 3 petroglyphs were found. So there's 4 total out here at the park. So to jump back to what I was mentioning previously about every single feature that you would expect to find in an archaeological site on the plains like this, well, now we have proof of the final piece, which is those petroglyphs, which is just an amazing archaeological record that we have out here. We were already in the process of applying for UNESCO World Heritage designation, But this is certainly a very important point to reinforcing why we feel that the United Nations should be recognizing this site as being completely unique in the world. And that's what we're going for. I was born and raised in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. There's many beautiful sites that I go, visit annually throughout our province. That's not to say that there aren't other beautiful sites in Saskatchewan and on the prairies in general, but what we intend to show by getting this designation is that there is no greater representation of Northern Plains culture than here at Wanuskewin, because we showcase every nation that would have come here again over that 6,400 years. That UNESCO designation is very important, as it is going to have a really big impact on not just visitation to Wanuskewin, of course, but tourism generally. This is going to increase that significantly in terms of visitation to the province. But then also think about all those different industries that are connected to tourism. So if you're a retailer or a shop owner, a restaurateur, or you work at own a gas station, all of those other businesses, and kind of that ripple effect, economically speaking, is going to be huge for the rest of the province because of that designation that we are going for.
That is fascinating. You touched on so many things, from the thousands of years of history to looking forward to the future and that UNESCO World Heritage Site designation. I also think it is super interesting that even though you've had archaeologists in there digging things up, it was the bison that found the petroglyphs, like something out of a storybook. So it's quite incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah. So reconciliation is something that has been top of mind for many. And I see that a lot of the work that has been done at Wanuskewin Heritage Park is done in the spirit of reconciliation. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit more about the role that it plays in the operation and expansion of the park?
Yeah, definitely. For myself, I can only speak from my perspective, and I really feel it's been about more than a decade that I've been working out here at Wanuskewin, and being able to work at this place as a non-Indigenous person, I've had so many wonderful opportunities to participate in ceremony, to learn from knowledge keepers here, all sharing and celebrating Indigenous, Northern Plains Indigenous culture here at the park. Why that's important and why reconciliation specifically is something that is you can actively participate in here at Wanuskewin is reconciliation there's so many facets to it. There's so many different ways that you can participate. So, oftentimes we'll hear about folks that might be coming to the park and saying, I don't even know where to start with this, or my organization is really struggling with this. And sometimes, taking the first step and if it is coming to a cultural site like Wanuskewin, starting those conversations, asking questions, participating in art or cuisine, that's often a great first step. No one is an expert on this. No one is the authority on this for sure. But I think it's really important for all of us as members here in Treaty 6 or Treaty 4, or no matter where you are, is that there are so many great kind of first steps that you can take. And then certainly as you start to immerse yourself, you find all these different ways that you can actively participate. There is a guidebook called the Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action that has all 94 calls to action listed in there. And when we are partnering with different businesses, when we are out in the media, or even looking at different partnerships, that's definitely that Truth and Reconciliation Call to Action book is a really great reference for us to make sure that we are participating in a good way, and that there's that reciprocity piece, right, for partnership and making sure that it is mutually beneficial. One example of that I'll give is that we've recently partnered with Federated Co-op. And so we're working with them to develop some Wanuskewin recipes and to put this into stores across Western Canada. So now at over 170 locations across the country, Wanuskewin bison products are now available in grocery stores. This is bison smokies, bison burgers, bison meat sticks, as well as bison jerky. Why that's important and why we talk about this through a reconciliation lens is that there is opportunity on every one of our packages to see beautiful artwork, artwork that's been done by an artist out of Manitoba. His name is Linus Woods. On the reverse of that, there's an opportunity for you, if you like his work, you can reach out and commission work from him if you like. You can share his work, on social media. And it is a great way to give exposure to a fantastic artist, a fantastic Indigenous artist. In addition to that, because we are a nonprofit organization, a portion of the proceeds from sales of these products come back to help support our registered charity here. The simple act of buying a product like this, you are helping to support our cultural programs. You're creating jobs. You are, essentially helping to keep the lights on here at the park. And the amazing part about that is someone, who's 2 provinces away, who may never have heard of Wanuskewin before, is now learning about it and checking out our website, and it just grows this greater appreciation for this incredible history that we have here on the plains, and specifically what it is that we're doing here at Wanuskewin.
Across the province, SaskTel is engaged with many different municipal organizations who seek to innovate. Contact your SaskTel account manager to learn more about some of these initiatives and how they can help your municipality today. You touched on so many different facets of reconciliation that are happening there in the park. I don't think it matters how many times we read calls to action. And it's hard to remember all 94 of them. So to go back and to look and to see what have we done, where are we going, I think can be so powerful. And education is a big part of those calls to action. And Wanuskewin has several learning opportunities available at the park, whether they're indoor, outdoor, guided, self-guided. Can you tell me a little bit more about what guests can participate in when they're visiting?
Yeah, learning and education, that is really the cornerstone of what we do here. That's the bedrock of it. And there's been many, many times where we've been doing public programming here. And, we've had someone from Tisdale, Saskatchewan, sitting next to someone from Tokyo, Japan, sitting next to someone who's from, Germany. Everyone kind of equally participating in this educational endeavor, immersed in culture, immersed in dance or music, and learning together. That is really, it's those lessons, I think, that are most impactful for guests. So, rather than standing behind a stanchion and reading off a placard, there's plenty of those opportunities here. But really, being able to then apply what you've learned and touch and smell and feel and really participate actively in learning, that's really where those lessons embed themselves. And that's why, pre-K up to adult level, there is something here at the park that will grab you, I'm sure. So whether you're a historian, whether you are an art lover or a foodie or whatever the thing is that draws you here to the park, I'm sure that there's going to be another 2 or 3 reasons that you're going to leave here that will drive you to come back and bring others with you. I am biased for sure, so I will say this, that I will couch my comments with this, but I really feel like this gem that is Wanuskewin is something that we've had in our backyard now for 30 years and is greatly underappreciated by I would say people from from Saskatoon or Saskatchewan, where it really is, oh, this is, I had a great experience out there when I was on my grade 6 or grade 7 field trip out there, but I haven't been there in years. This is a place that is of international consequence. This is going to be going to put Saskatchewan on the map. And so I think it's so important for people to really embrace this place and to think a little bit about the origins of this place too. This is not a provincial park or federal park or a municipal park. This was born out of our community. So Indigenous and non-Indigenous people coming together to create this space for learning and cultural immersion. I really feel strongly about this, that for our guests, for people from around the world, but specifically from Saskatchewan, for people to really feel pride and ownership in the park, because the success of the park is really a reflection of our community. I really hope that people feel, when there's a bison calf born out here, or there's a story in an international magazine about Wanuskewin, or tourists come to the park, I hope that people think about this place as well, that this is something that is totally Saskatchewan and something that we can hold up as something to really be proud of.
I agree with you. I think sometimes it's so important for us to be tourists in our own town and to see the things in our own backyard, because especially here in Saskatchewan, we tend to forget about those things sometimes. And as you mentioned, Wanuskewin is an incredible, one-of-a-kind place that is right here for us to go and visit.
That's right. It feels odd to say this, I understand, but if there was any, I guess, good things that did come out of the past few years in the pandemic, it really is a real kind of refocus and sharpening of the emphasis of our own communities, not being able to travel and looking at what it is that's in our own backyard and what are the things that we value here. There's so many guests that we've had come visit us over the past year that are from just up the road. And we've maybe been on their list of to-dos for a couple years, or, I've read a lot of articles about Wanuskewin, but I've never actually taken the time to find out what it is. Well, this is prime time to do that now, because as we head towards that UNESCO designation in 2025 in Paris, France, the spotlight of the world is going to be shining on the park, and we would be recognized just the same as the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, or the Great Wall of China, like all these wonders of the world, these postcard places. We can now say that we have that here, and we're worth it. This is of international, like I say, consequence, and definitely a point of pride for everyone in Saskatchewan.
And you've talked a lot about how coming to the park is so important and such a unique experience, especially for people in Saskatchewan. But you do have many ways for people to participate in programming without visiting Wanuskewin, or that are unable to make the trip. There are some virtual options for classrooms or small groups. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that looks?
Yeah. So speaking of the pandemic and that old phrase of necessity is the mother of invention, when we couldn't have guests come out to the park, and a big part of what we do here annually is welcoming school groups out to Wanuskewin. So when that became obvious that wasn't going to be happening leading into the fall of 2020, we got to work on a video library series. So it's almost like Netflix for cultural programming. We filmed all of our programs that we offer here, and made this subscription series available to school divisions around the province. The beautiful part about this is that we don't have to just stay within Saskatchewan and our provincial boundaries to tell this story. In fact, we don't have to stay within international boundaries to tell this story, because again, this is talking about, all of our programming talks about all the nations of the Northern Plains. So now we have subscriptions sold into the US, Manitoba, Alberta, BC, Ontario. And it is a video series that is kind of like it's like a living page where we'll all be adding to it. We'll be updating videos and certainly adding teacher resources if they like. So now teachers can prepare their students with pre and post tour activities as if they were coming here in person. And the beautiful part about it is that when a school division purchases this, it's not just for the child in the classroom that day, but this is for families to participate in, 24 hours a day, 365. So, if there's something that your child has seen that has sparked something in them, they want to learn more about, the hoop dance, for example. Well, now you can really go back and revisit that, take some of the language pieces, apply some of the terminology, and now kind of it just is goes hand in hand with this experiential learning and kind of growing of people's cultural knowledge.
That's incredible. And it's such a nice resource to have that not only can they use it in the schools, but they can take it back and use it at home too and continue that learning with their families.
Yeah.
As you've mentioned, there are so many different opportunities to learn about all sorts of different things at Wanuskewin Park. What do you feel municipal leaders and staff will learn from their experiences there?
For a lot of folks that come to the park, I think that they are quite surprised at how long the park has been around. So we last year celebrated our 30th anniversary. We've had a number of royal visits out to the park, and I know for some folks, being able to hear some of those stories about some of those royal visitors is a pretty cool endeavor. But also to learn about the significance of this place and why it was that people came here for 6,000 years. That was certainly one of the questions that I had when I first started working at the park is, well, what was it about this place? Why this spot in the river did people gather here? And if you start to examine it and look at it, bird's eye view, well, it makes a lot of sense why people would have gathered here. Topographically, this is quite different than a lot of areas around this region in that there are sharp drop-offs into the Opimahau Valley. So right there is a great opportunity for hunting. This is also, certainly with these prairie winds that we've had this winter, it's a chance to get out of the wind and set up teepees down into the valley where you have close access to the South Saskatchewan River as well. In addition to that, this is a very central location. So if I am meeting groups from different territories, this is such a central location. If it is folks that are coming up from the south, north, east, or west, right around here in what is now Saskatoon is such an ideal spot to meet up. And we have found lots of evidence in our archaeological dig, which is Canada's longest running continuous archaeological dig, that there's evidence of trade here as well. So ceremony, hunting, and trading are the three big reasons that people would have gathered here. And so for guests that are coming out to the park, I know that is often a question that they're asking where, why is this spot kind of the chosen spot that all those different nations would have congregated here? And it's those reasons that we've certainly found that make a lot of sense. Yeah, it's just an incredible story because this is not just one nation, but it spans to every nation here on the plains.
That really speaks to how amazing of a gathering place the area is. And even within the newly built facility, there are meeting spaces available to rent and catering options on site as well. We've talked a little bit about the food that gets sent out to be sold in grocery stores, but what is available on site for meetings and what sets your meeting spaces apart from some of the other options around Saskatoon?
This is a really beautiful space. So I'll even just talk about the space first. So that was our new conference and meeting center, which is called the Pasco Round, is a beautiful view of the Opimahao Valley that's in just about a 360-degree view as well. So it's a big kind of circular kind of silo-shaped building that you are in with windows all the way around. So no matter the season that you're here, you're treated to just an incredible view of the valley and the river and all of the wildlife that's there in the valley below. Inside the building, when you do come here for an event, that catering menu that we have is just spectacular. So Chef Doug Heinford is our executive chef, and Doug hails from Pipikissis First Nation. Doug is a CCC designated chef, and the incredible catering menu that he has is a mixture of some traditional foods, say like bison or wild rice, and this is served in a contemporary way. So we do have a huge variety and a lot of choices too for guests when they come out to the park. Another thing, I guess, a distinguishing feature of being out here at the park is that when you come out for a conference or an event and you get a break, maybe it's a lunch break or you get some time in the afternoon to stretch your legs, you're welcome to go out into the trails. You're welcome to go into our exhibit hall or our art galleries. And so you have access to the entire site when you're here at the park. So it's almost like you're given a free admission every time you come out for a conference. In addition to that, we do have opportunities to connect with dancers or elders. Maybe you'd like an elder to come out and talk with your group to start off the day or do an opening morning prayer. All of those things are available to you as part of your experience out here at the park. So, and then of course, I don't know how many conferences or events you go to where you can see bison as a part of your day as well. Go out and hang out with the bison herd that we have here. So definitely a unique experience that you have out here. And the beautiful part about the park is that you feel like it's quite remote. Some people report it's almost like, feels like you've stepped into a time machine and you're kind of going back in time and reconnecting with the land. But you're 15 minutes from downtown Saskatoon. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds where you do have that urban experience here, but then there's certainly you're in such close proximity to the city that it does feel kind of rural as well at the same time.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I know when we came out to visit, we came in from downtown Saskatoon. It didn't take us very long to get there, but as soon as you arrive, you can't see the city. You feel like you're kind of way out there. So it's really nice that way.
Yeah.
That actually brings me to the end of my questions for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me at all. Do you have any final comments for our listeners?
Yeah, I think that I would just mention that I really encourage people, if it has been that they've been out to Wanuskewin a couple of years ago, or maybe they feel like, I've kind of been there, done that, and I really encourage people to find that little piece of pride and take ownership over the park, because it really is something that all of us here in Saskatchewan can really share in the success of this place. So no matter what the reason is that brings you out here, maybe it is a conference or event that you are coming out here for, to just take some time and explore some of the exhibits, chat with some of our staff. We have some fantastic staff here, and it really is a great opportunity to, I think, grow appreciation for your own backyard and really reconnect with the land, maybe slow down a little bit and take some time to just enjoy the beauty of this place. This is definitely a place that if you open your heart to Wanuskewin, it will definitely kind of reciprocate 10 times over. So I really encourage people to come out, explore it on your own time, or bring your family out and really connect with the land here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And for anybody that is joining us during the excursion out to Wanuskewin Heritage Park, we'll have a couple hours to spend some time out there, but you could easily spend a full day or more at the park. So take some time and find your own way out there if you have the opportunity as well.
Yeah, we're so excited to host you, and can't wait to see everyone here in April.
This brings us to the end of another episode of Municast. Episode 3 of Season 4 features a conversation with the 2023 SUMA Convention keynote, Cody Desmarais, and will be released on March 8th. In Episode 3, we discuss Cody's keynote presentation and his experiences with mental health and addictions. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy listening in as much as we enjoy having these conversations.